Energetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and delighted to welcome back to the show Judge Greg Mathis. He is one of our favorite court judges and freedom fighters. He's been in this for a long time, and we're digging the mustache too. Welcome to the show,
Thank you.
Judge Mathis. So there's no shortage of issues in the news. Let's jump right in. Just yesterday it was reported that O.J. Simpson passed away. He was surrounded by family in the final days before his death, and that includes all of his living children. Yes, even his two youngest he had with Nicole Brown Simpson. Sources with direct knowledge have told sources that everyone who came to visit O.J. at his home in the days before he passed had to sign NDAs for his privacy. And that went for friends, family, and even medical personnel who were coming in contact with him while he was under hospice care. What do you make of this, Judge Mathis?
Well, I'm glad that he was able to have his family around him as he transitioned. We want that for everyone. And so, yes, that brings joy to me. And on the other hand, you know, we know of the challenges and of the murders and the subsequent jailing that he went through. And if we look back, what we do see is his trial was really a flash pan, and meaning it hit the world so hard, it really in many ways changed the trajectory as to how we covered trials and indeed talk shows. Many talk shows emanated from that trial. And so the world changed with that trial. And so therefore, I think it's appropriate for him to be able to go out in grace.
Yeah. I just want to ask you a follow-up about just sort of the impact of the O.J. Simpson trial in pop culture. There were a number of people. I think Don Lemon had put up a post yesterday reminding folks that the O.J. Simpson trial was also about race. And I wonder, for somebody who has worked in the justice system for such a long time, inside and outside of the justice system, do you think that we've made any more progress since the Simpson trial on the issue of race when it comes to seeking equal justice under the law?
Well, unfortunately, in our community, justice is fleeting. We'll make a couple of steps forward, then 3 steps back, and at any particular time. So in this month, perhaps we are getting justice. Last month, no, we didn't. And so that's a pull all the time. It's a give and take always with us seeking justice in America.
Well, speaking of seeking justice, long shot candidate Cornel West chose what some people are calling an obscure Los Angeles academic as his running mate. For those of us here at KBLA, we think of Dr. Melina Abdullah as a colleague, and for a lot of grassroots activists in California and beyond, they know who she is. But for our leaders, learners, and listeners that are under a rock, I just want to share with them that independent presidential candidate Cornel West has selected academic and activist Dr. Melina Abdullah for his vice presidential running mate. She is a professor of Pan-African Studies at Cal State University, LA. And they made this announcement on the Tavis Smiley Show right here on KBLA. What do you make of Dr. West being in the race and now bringing Dr. Melina Abdullah onto the ticket?
Well, first, let me start with the sister. I'm certainly glad that she has come aboard. One, we share the worldview of Pan-Africanism and those in the diaspora. And secondly, her academic studies as it relates to our condition gives her some unique insight. So that's good news. And with regard to Dr. West's candidacy, we share the same values in most instances. And so I think it's a good thing for America for him to be in the race. I will, however, add the caveat that it'll probably take a couple of $100 million as an independent to make a real difference or to win, to have a chance at winning, in my viewpoint. But certainly we think that he can bring the issues, he and Sister Abdullah can bring the issues to forefront that affect our folks and indeed the African diaspora. And those are the things that I think most I'd like to see addressed.
You know, there are some people that think of their ticket as being a spoiler ticket. You know, there are a number of folks that think of, you know, any third party candidate as a potential spoiler. But, you know, I'm old enough to remember when Reverend Al Sharpton ran for president back in 2004. I was a student at the University of Southern California. I remember covering that when they came to campus. And one of the things that is seared in my memory is that Reverend Sharpton was very clear that it was probably unlikely he would win the Democratic nomination, become president, but he saw it as a way to uplift an urban agenda, a Black agenda, a racial justice agenda, and force other candidates to have to respond to the issues impacting us. Do you see Dr. West and Dr. Abdullah as you know, equipped to do that and to marshal the backing of BLM and other grassroots organizations in doing that?
Well, one of the things I will tell you is that I know that Dr. West, and I don't know the sister as well, but of her teachings, but I do know they love Black people. So I start there with every commentary regarding someone's sincerity toward us. Do you love us? And I believe he does. On the other hand, let me suggest to you that, yes, it will bring the issues to the forefront and make awareness of the challenges in our community. And I want to tell you, it was a great honor. One of the greatest honors I've experienced was the campaign manager for the state of Michigan, Jesse Jackson 88, for president, where we were the only northern state to win for Reverend Jackson. And not only did that bring up the awareness, but we changed the Democratic Party. We changed the structure. We went, and that led to the election of President Obama. It went from a winner take all and to proportionate delegates being given out. And that was a result of our campaign in '88. We changed the face of the Democratic Party. I believe they had the number of folks that were added to the DNC, African Americans, was a record number. We had Ron, our dear brother Ron, the campaign manager, who was appointed to Commerce Department later, but he was our DNC chair as well. And so many things happened that, with that campaign, and it's always the possibility that we could gain from an independent campaign representing the interests of Black people. Yeah,
and it's our dearly departed brother Ron Brown, who served as Commerce Secretary under Bill Clinton. You know, in our remaining minutes before we take a break, I want to ask you about the state of play in Michigan. Well, we know a record number of folks voted uncommitted, and it hasn't stopped since Michigan. We know you have a huge Muslim population in Michigan. We know that Dr. Melina Abdullah is a practicing Muslim. You know, how seriously should the Biden-Harris campaign and other candidates for the White House, how seriously should they take this independent ticket, given the makeup of who's on the ticket, their relationship and love for Black folks, and their connection to other communities?
Well, I think we have a tremendous challenge in Michigan, the Biden administration's campaign, in that we have 300,000 folks of Arab descent who are certainly concerned, very concerned about what's happening in Gaza, and they tend to express their concerns at the ballot box, which we should always try and do as well as a people. And so I think they're in a lot of trouble in Michigan unless that policy changes, unless there's a ceasefire and humanitarian aid is let in.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you know, the fact that we're still sending bombs to Israel. We know that the ceasefire now folks, have said that needs to end. But even just today, we're seeing the threat from Iran to Israel, and some reports that there is a strike that may be imminent to Israel. So that certainly makes, ending our supply of missiles to Israel a bit more complicated. But that's not the only thing that's complicated. There are so many other issues that we are going to delve into. I'm really delighted to have Judge Greg Mathis with us for the remainder of the hour to help us make it make sense. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Judge Greg Mathis when we come forward.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Trey Thomas. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. A South Fulton County, Georgia man is heading to prison for trying to kill his baby. Curtis Jack reportedly admitted that he added antifreeze into a newborn child's breast milk. The death of an 8-year-old boy in Hopkins County, Kentucky is reportedly from ingesting fentanyl. According to Atlanta News First, the boy's death originally was believed to be from an allergic reaction to strawberries. A 26-year-old Dearborn, Michigan man is facing charges after driving recklessly and fleeing from police before running out of gas. State police say he drove at speeds of over 140 miles per hour. That's the latest. I'm Trey Thomas on your home for 24/7 news, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you could save money. Good to know. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
There's a possibility the Lakers' loss to Golden State on Tuesday night could be their final home game of the season. The Lakers end the regular season on the road tonight at Memphis and Sunday at New Orleans. Because the Lakers are the 10th seed in the play-in round, they will have to win 2 games on the road just to make the playoffs. Their first play-in game is Tuesday night at Golden State. If the Lakers lose, their season is over. If they win, they'll have to go to either Sacramento or Phoenix to advance. The Clippers will have home court advantage in their first round series against Dallas. Game 1 is next Saturday, April 20th at Crypto.com. As of Friday morning, USC, the Buffalo Bills, and the San Francisco 49ers, teams that O.J. Simpson played for, have made no comment in a statement or online about Simpson's death. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's we've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. Visit jpmorganchase.com/racial equity and get the tools to help reach your financial goals.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
There are many healthcare organizations serving our community. Not all are dedicated to community partnerships that educate, build trust, inspire hope, and improve outcomes. Providence has a robust community outreach program and has dedicated $50 million over the next 5 years to support organizations addressing health disparities in local communities of color. Examples of this commitment include the Biddy Mason Community Wellness Center on the first AME campus, providing medical screenings, mental health therapy, nutrition, and culturally sensitive holistic classes. The Black Mamas Glowing Peer Support Group that focuses on maternal mental health, birth planning, and social support. Providence is committed to building trusted partnerships with community organizations to better understand and dismantle structural, racial, and cultural barriers to better health. During Minority Health Month, Providence is sponsoring Health for a Better World. Informative conversations with Providence health professionals on Urban Family Focus every Saturday in April at 7 a.m. To find a Providence Health System facility near you, log on to providence.org.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and delighted to be in conversation with Judge Greg Mathis. He is the real deal. He is, as they say, true to this, not new to this. You've been doing this work a long time, fighting for justice inside and outside the system. And so we appreciate the insights and wisdoms that you have to bear. You put up a post earlier this week that caught my attention around a story that I think is not getting enough attention. A month ago, the Washington Post reported that federal judge ordered the Minority Business Agency to open up to all races. A federal judge in Texas has ordered a 55-year-old federal agency created to help minority-owned businesses open its doors to all races, a ruling that potentially imperils dozens of government programs and also presumes racial minorities are inherently disadvantaged. To add to that, just moments ago, I was at the White House where the president delivered remarks at the National Action Network conference.
A court ruling.
We want to play a clip of what the president said. But while we're waiting for that clip to queue up, Judge Mathis, tell us, what inspired you to take to social media to call attention to this?
Well, with regard to the Minority Business Development Agency being gutted, essentially, it's because it's been diluted by the inclusion of non-minorities, if you will, Caucasians. And the entire objective was to uplift Black businessmen and other minority groups. But primarily it began for Black business. And I've worked with that agency in the past while working for the mayor of Detroit, and we were assisting Black businesses. You have many auto suppliers who benefited from that and getting contracts with the auto companies and et cetera. And so it's been beneficial to our community, but it's been wiped away just like the other benefits we've had. Affirmative action, which was to give us a hand up after being held down. We have many others. We have the issues dealing with spending in our own communities. And so all those together is really an attack on our economic status. And we know that economics is really what dictates what goes on in our community, because poverty begets crime and failed schools and all the other things that we fight against. So it's very important. And I think it's important that the Biden administration appeal. And because I heard that they did not intend to appeal that case. And I think it's important that they do, even if they don't believe they can win. And that's why, well, let's try. We never believe we can win most of the things we fight for, but ultimately we do.
Wow. I mean, this is serious stuff. And just to connect the dots for folks, you know, the lawsuit against the Freedom Fund that's saying, wait a minute, this fund that exists to support, you know, Black women entrepreneurs, you can't focus on Black women. You got to open it up to all women, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or what we've seen happen in Tennessee, you know, where the Tennessee State University Board of Trustees was wiped out and a new board was installed.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, talk to us about this war on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It seems to be ratcheting up, and I'm not so sure if Democrats that are in office and running for office and people of conscience in all parties, I'm not sure if they're taking this as seriously as they should.
Absolutely. You know, going back to the 80s and early 90s when the attack against diversity, equity, and inclusion occurred. And the reason we changed to diversity, equity, and inclusion, because set-aside programs, Black set-asides, which was first launched in the 80s on behalf of our community, they were ruled unconstitutional, having been sued. And so the initiative was changed to diversity. And now we see that the diversity and equity initiatives that we currently had in place, they're under attack now, both by lawsuit and both by policy of those who are scared of lawsuits. And so there's really an attack to take us back to where we were. And that is without any economic means in which to really uplift our community. I mean, all of the gains that we've made economically are under attack. And we have to continue to fight. And we fight by making sure that the elected officials who represent us, who want our vote, also fight for us in a way that will best serve our condition of poverty, which is still 25% of our people live in poverty in America. The conditions of Black wealth. We know that there's been some progress, but for the most part, white wealth is still 8 times more than Black wealth. And the closing of the wage gap, the overwhelming majority, in fact, over 60% of our people work in low-wage jobs under $40,000 a year. In California, you wouldn't be able to live, you'd be homeless with a $40,000 a year income. And so those are the challenges that we have economically. And in my opinion, economics is most important because it is the vehicle in which we can uplift our community schools, our community's residential areas, and eliminate crime. The best crime fighter is a job with livable wages. That's the best crime program you can come up with.
Yeah, and there were a number of achievements, including but not limited to efforts to close the racial wealth gap that the president just mentioned moments ago. I just left the White House where the president delivered virtual remarks to the National Action Network, Reverend Al Sharpton's organization. Take a listen to some of what I think of as President Biden's greatest hits when it comes to getting Black folks' attention and sharing what he's done for us lately. Take a listen.
A promise kept to advance environmental justice and to make the most significant investments in climate ever in all of our history. That's delivering clean energy and jobs all across America. The results are real. We've reduced Black unemployment rate to its record low. More Black Americans have health insurance than ever before. More Black businesses are starting up than we've seen in the last 25 years. In fact, despite attacks on our support for brown and Black small businesses, we're investing in them as key ways to build generational wealth in communities. Today, I'm proud to announce that last year we awarded $76 billion in federal contracts to small disadvantaged businesses to level the playing field and close the racial wealth gap. I also want to thank my dear friend, HUD Secretary Marcia Fudge, for an amazing career of public service.
So those were just a sample of what I think of as part of President Biden's greatest hits of what he's done for Black folks lately. This is a president that said when he was elected that we, being Black folks, had his back, and he intended to have ours. Has he had our back, Judge Mathis?
Yes, in this regard, he has. In many regards, he has. You know, I'm happy to see that he has pivoted toward the bread and butter issues that affect Black folks. We certainly are disappointed that we weren't successful. The Biden administration weren't successful in getting the voting rights bill passed, nor did were they successful in having the George Floyd Policing Act pass. However, he's done things under executive order that has been beneficial to our community. Right now, I don't know if he spoke of it, but the adjustments in the executive orders regarding the sale of guns and background checks, very beneficial to our community. Also, $7 billion to our HBCUs, bread and butter. Also, we have $76 billion in minority contracting that he spoke of. Bread and butter. So I think those are the issues he must continue to emphasize in our community. Lowest unemployment rate forever. Need to talk about the wage gap more. I heard him talk about the wealth gap, but we want to know about the wage gap, because when you talk to people and you say, well, lowest unemployment, yeah, but lowest unemployment what? In minimum wage jobs? We don't know. That messaging needs to come across a little better with that regard. But I want you to also listen. As you heard, rather, the minority contracting was $76 billion by the federal government. Well, that's many of those contracts were facilitated by the Minority Business Development Agency that is being gutted. So you certainly won't see that same amount unless we make some other way for that to happen, to assist minority businesses in financing and the like. Let me just say real quick also that I got some blowback for the suggestion that we should ask the Biden administration to appeal the Minority Business Development Agency's ruling of that. And the blowback is, well, am I supporting Trump? No, I'm not supporting Trump at all. I have a dignity level and an insult level. No, I'm not going to support him for gym shoes or because we share a mug shot. That's an insult to the highest level. And I would think that any brothers who got any self-dignity and any self-pride, and as we say in the street, you won't show respect. How you gonna get respect from a man who says he identified you because of your mug shot and because you like tennis shoes, not that he identifies with your condition of poverty, and he intends to address that. The wealth gap intends to address that. Nothing. We heard no bread and butter issues from the opposition, and until we do, I do not suggest anybody support him. And that's the indignities and the character of the person. And some say, and some agree, that in many ways you can categorize him as a bigoted con man. And certainly if we were to subscribe to that belief and suggestion, which was made by others, I don't defame, it wasn't, so others have said he's a bigoted con man. I don't know. But that being the case, the jury being out on that, certainly he doesn't deserve our vote, and I wouldn't be voting for him. The only alternative I would have was Cornel West.
Well, we are hearing it straight from the source. That's Judge Greg Mathis. When we come forward, I want to get the judge's take on Duke ending full ride scholarship programs for select Black students in the wake of the affirmative action ruling. And then LeVar Burton is set to host and executive produce Trivial Pursuit after losing out on the Jeopardy gig. We're going to get Judge Mathis's reaction to all of that and more. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Listening to a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai in conversation with the one and only Judge Greg Mathis. He is just giving it to us straight, no chaser. Consider this the extended quiet part out loud. We do this every single show, Judge Mathis. I want to get your reaction to Duke, how they've ended this full ride scholarship program for select Black students in the wake of the affirmative action ruling. What is your reaction to that? And do you think we're going to see a whole lot more of this? Is this going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better?
Absolutely. Thank you. I was having a little trouble there, us getting through. But let me say that is just once again an instance in which affirmative action has been denied, and therefore so has equality in many instances. I call affirmative action an initiative seeking equality. And so when you eliminate an affirmative action, you've eliminated an initiative that seeks equality for all Americans and due process under the law. And so I think we're going to see a lot more of this, unfortunately, but because they're fighting. Those who won the congressional election, if you look back, most of this has begun. And a friend told me that, Bob Johnson. He told me, Judge, once you see the Republicans take over the House, all this diversity, equity, and inclusion is going to be gone. He said affirmative action will be gone. And then many other benefits that we enjoy will be gone. And that is exact. And the $50 billion that was promised, that was the premise of our conversation. The $50 billion that was promised from corporate America during the George Floyd movement has not been delivered upon. In fact, now they've stopped for the most part nearly altogether. We got about $5 billion of the $50 billion that was committed to provide to Black people, Black organizations, Black businesses, etc. So all of this is being rolled back, and this is just once again a symptom of it. You have this guy, the Wall Street guy, Bill Ackerman. He's going throughout the country as well, suing, and that's really why a lot of these universities are going to change their policies. They're scared of the lawsuits.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but one of the points I made just on yesterday's show. Let's take Dr. Claudine Gay for example, right? Everybody said she had made a misstep, in which case she apologized when she had testified before the House of Representatives, the House Oversight Committee, and folks, said that she lacked moral clarity in the conversation around doing more to support Jewish students on campus and push back against anti-Semitism. But I just want to bring folks' attention to the fact that Harvard's policy still hasn't changed. So Dr. Claudine Gay is out of the role, but the policy that everybody was so upset about is still in place. I haven't seen not one member of the Harvard Board of Trustees be dismissed or resign, right? And so it raises the question, well, what was this all about in the first place, right? Because I suspect, as I'm sure you do, it was not about Dr. Gay at all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think it was about being able to see and benefit from the symbolism and the effectiveness that school would have with a leading mind such as Dr. Gay. And quite frankly, as we move on to your next subject, I think there's always a little question mark about whether we think at the highest level of society, whether we have the same type of scholarship. That's why I'm always so proud to see many of our scholars on, Michael Eric Dyson and Dr. Cornel West and many others, because in many instances, I don't believe America thinks we can think as well as them, because as we morph into your next subject, you'll see that there haven't been talk shows at night for African Americans, nor has there been, in many instances, game show hosts that require intellectual prowess. And so that's kind of one of the things. I think it's that stereotype and white supremacy, believing that no one can do it better.
And that leads us to our next and final topic for today. LeVar Burton is about to get his trivia on. A new report from TMZ citing network sources reveals that the beloved Reading Rainbow host has secured his next project, which is hosting Trivial Pursuit on the CW. Not only will he host it, but he will also be executive producer for the upcoming game show. This is the outlet that a number of folks have been really excited to support. And this is great because he was up for the Jeopardy job. Yeah. He didn't get selected for the Jeopardy job, but it was in a shady sort of way. It didn't seem like it was a fair process at all. And so it's great to see LeVar Burton continuing to break barriers with this new trivia show.
Yes, absolutely. And, I'm proud to see it because this is pretty much a first for a game show that requires a high level of thinking, not just personal opinion. It based on knowledge. It's a knowledge-based show. And we haven't seen that. With Jeopardy, we haven't seen it. With Wheel of Fortune, we haven't seen it. And so, let's make a deal during the day. That's game show. But anything requiring that, late night talk shows, we don't have Black late night talk show hosts. And I think it has something to do with the lack of belief that the rest of America would appreciate our excellence, quite frankly, or perhaps don't want to show the excellence that we have within our community. I'm not sure, but I do know this. There was a poll taken, I think it was the Wall Street Journal, some 20 years ago, right after I came to television, that asked the question why so many white women would watch Black men during the day. Montel, myself, George Brown, and a couple other Black folks who were men who were on television during daytime. But it showed that in the evenings, we got little or no viewership from white households. Mm-hmm. And they concluded, not me, this is Wall Street Journal's study, I believe it was Wall Street Journal study, is that when the white male comes home, he says, get that Black man out my house.
Well, look, in our remaining 30 seconds, we want to remind people that They can invite you into their home and onto their whatever screen they watch you on anytime. Let the people know where can they go to get a hit of Judge Greg Mathis on their
you
screen.
Can go to your local listings. We're syndicated throughout the country and 90% of the country. So look at your local listings. Also, they have us on Justice Central and the Grio. And so we're available to be seen. All the new episodes are available to be seen. You might want to watch those. They're a little more entertaining than the older ones. So that's how you find us. So go to my Instagram. You'll see where it appears. It tells you how to go and find your local listings based on your zip code.
Our thanks to Judge Greg Mathis for joining us. Shout out to Detroit.
That's right.
And you're welcome back anytime. Thank you for taking the time. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.